this episode of the PA System. On this episode, I'm talking with Amy Scruggs about her journey and how she helps others launch their own professional visibility. So welcome to the show, Amy.
It's so fun to be here. I've been really looking forward to this time with you.
Such a joy to have you. I was super, super excited for this conversation because I know you have so much to share with the audience. But first, I just want to kind of start out by you telling us a little bit about you, because you've had this kind of wonderful, amazing journey in your life. And I know you're passionate about what you're doing now. So I want you to just kind of share a little bit about that with us.
I promise I'll give you all the Cliff Note version, or else you'd have to get a bowl of popcorn and sit down. So, but after 20 years as a business professional leading sales teams, as a TV host, a touring recording artist, you put all that together. And it allowed me to become an effective media coach because I understand all the positions of what different professionals, different industries go through when wanting to present themselves on camera. And so I have private clients of all walks of life, nonprofits, everything that I help. But to get to that point wasn't just I woke up and realized that's what it was going to be, because I'm also a mother. I've got 4 grown kids. I've got 2 amazing stepkids as well. But it's the constant evolution of this shift. And for me, my first big girl job, as I like to say, was at 29 years old when an incredible woman took a chance on me with no experience and put me into the mortgage industry at the time of the peak. This was in 2001, and it was in Southern California. And I saw all of these amazing, successful professionals, and it was just the hustle and the bustle, and it was terrifying. And I didn't know anything. I got this job without any experience at all.
Wow.
And I learned very quickly that effective communication and being comfortable presenting myself was going to allow me to succeed, or I would have been eaten alive. No, I'd still be there under a puddle somewhere in Orange County alive. So I very quickly said, okay, I'm going to get comfortable and learn my talking points. Even if I don't fully understand them, I'm going to at least have something that was eloquent and put together for when I'm in front of professionals and the presenting in the boardrooms, the one-on-one meetings, what it took to ask for that business and being engaging and relatable. And within 6 months, I was the #1 account executive in that wholesale company.
Wow.
For all 50 states. And I went, okay, there's a magic recipe here. And as I was going along, I was learning what I was doing and about the industry and reading the rate sheet and working with mortgage brokers and all that went in that corporate world. And so that was a really great time in my life. It was. I learned a lot through that experience. And this was at a time with the flip phone. I had a calculator taped to my steering wheel as I'm driving all around Southern California. I had 4 kids. I had mouths I needed to feed. There was all that going on. And then in 2008, we had something happen, 2007. And the entire mortgage and real estate world collapsed with the recession. And with that, so did my job. There was no more wholesale mortgage rep job to be had. Well, if you back up to when I was 3 years old, and if you asked me what I was going to be when I grew up, my answer was Barbara Mandrell. I had grown up on country music. I had been singing since I was 3. During the time of doing sales, I was also always in a cover band, performing concerts in the park around the community, kids in tow. We did it. So music was always a huge part of my life, classically trained on the piano as well. And so I said, here's a chance. As in anything else, you put together a business plan. So I said, if I don't have that job to go to anymore, and we're in a recession, but I have my skills in business, I can ask for the business, and I have a talent in performing. And I put that together with a business plan and went and asked for the business as a recording artist. And 6 months later, I was opening for Clint Black on a national stage in Camp Verde, Arizona on the 4th of July. And I said, well, if I'm getting this big stage, I should probably utilize some publicity. And I was able to get interviews on radio stations. I was on the Arizona morning talk show and realized that visibility was going to create more opportunity. So I went on for the next years as a touring recording artist with my kids with me, by using the same model, the same skills, and asking for the business. And we went on to open for some of the biggest names in country music. It was an incredible time. And we also, during that time, I was the spokesperson for the American veterans for the state of California for 3 of those years. By really running it that way, continuing to shift into what do people need? What's going to meet the needs of my family? I needed to perform at events that my kids could be at. I wasn't going to be singing in clubs and bars. That's not something I could do if I bring kids on tour, right?
Yeah.
So we really made it work. And my oldest son, Ryan, was my lead guitar player starting at 17. He's 31 now. And so he joined me on the stage. The kids were helping. We did it. We shifted. So I could have drowned and buried my head in the sand, or we could have shifted. It still wasn't quite enough to keep things moving forward the way that they need to. And we still lost our home in 2011. And so I decided to step back into the business world and combine the two careers because mortgage and real estate was opening up again. Had an opportunity, moved to San Diego. And then weeks later, our bass player died. So had I not made that shift, we could have been on tour and had a tragic death. It was already tragic, but it would have been
Yeah.
a whole other level.
Wow.
Started over again, built new relationships, new wonderful connections in sales and in business, still singing on the side on request, and had some incredible opportunities and big shows. And then I was asked 5 years ago to start hosting a national TV show. What a great combination. I'm like, wait, I'm comfortable on camera. Why not? I have no problem saying yes to everything. Why not?
Well, and you had all this preparation. I mean,
yes.
Your story is just amazing to me because you did in so many instances, you just had to pivot. You just had to, make the shift, like you said, and you did it. And out of that came something else better. And again, something else better, which I love that. And I really want people to kind of get that, because I think the last couple of years, this has been happening for a lot of people.
Yes, it happened to me again. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. Or it feels like, wait, am I even like headed in the right direction, or, am I doing the right thing? And so just that sort of like, hang in there, stick with it. And, also just be okay with being flexible, allowing for the shifts at the same time.
And sometimes what we need is two steps over. So if something's not working and what we relied on disappeared, like in these shifting industries with the economy the way that it was. I mean, those of us that went through this recession in 2008, it hit hard. And then we hit these next levels now with the pandemic. I was no longer in the studio. I couldn't perform. I couldn't have in-person meetings. Again, the shift. And sometimes what we need is two steps over if we go looking for it, and keeping that positivity and saying, it's here. Now I'm going to find it. If I stay stuck on what I've just lost, I can't find what's right in front of me. And especially for me, I watched the entire world go on camera in 2020. I went, wait a minute, this is what I do. I help professionals on camera as a host and as a media coach. I was already media coaching by that point while I was hosting. And I thought, this is what I do. And everybody who thought they wouldn't be on camera is on camera now. We have to be.
Right.
And wow, that two steps over opened up a whole new world of opportunities for clients that needed me that wouldn't have before.
Yeah. And it's amazing to me. I mean, I actually started my podcast in 2019. So literally right before the pandemic. Yeah. And I had never done anything like a podcast before. I hadn't really been on stage at all in any way since college. So it's been like 20 years, right?
Oh my gosh.
And I was terrified, right? I was absolutely terrified to get on camera. And I didn't know what I was doing. I mean, I've watched some of my old videos on occasion and I just laugh. I'm like, it's just funny. But we all start there, right? Like we all kind of just have to start somewhere. But what I love about what you're doing is that you're really helping give people the confidence to do that, knowing that, okay, I sort of have a clue what I'm doing here, which I personally did not. So I think it's a really wonderful thing. So talk to us about that. I mean, what does that sort of look like? What are some of those very first steps that we take when we're really trying to get ourselves out there and get the kind of visibility we want?
The first step has got to be an honest assessment. Like anything else, right? We have to go, okay, what is it I'm really looking at? And to take that moment where we look at ourselves the same way we look at somebody else. Because we look at ourselves in the mirror when we're getting ready, and no one ever is making that same face actually out in the real world. The face we make when we put our makeup on or we're doing our hair, getting ourselves ready, isn't what we take out. And so the insecurity comes in of not understanding how we're presenting ourselves. And so we're so worried about how do I look? How do I look? It's amazing what can happen when you take the time to memorize how you look in your everyday settings, when you're on the phone, when you're with loved ones, taking a discovery where it's, what is my face saying? What is my body language saying? Am I okay with it? What is my message? If you're doing your own cell phone marketing and you're putting your videos out there, would you swipe? Would you watch your video? Is the first thing I always ask anyone. Would you watch it or would you swipe? Because if you would swipe, so are they. So let's go ahead and pull this backwards. So before we even start discussing content or what they should be putting online on their marketing, social media, traditional marketing, YouTube videos, running a podcast like you're doing, we do that discovery. There's the discovery time, and you have to be able to get comfortable with it. And what I always try to point out is that we all feel this way. So the things we're going to discover together is the exact same thing that everybody else goes through. We all wonder what our resting face is.
Yeah.
how we speak, what our inflections are. No one likes the sound of their voice. No one likes the look of their face. I mean, honestly. So
Right.
how do we
Um,
break that down? How do we get you comfortable with it? And then guess what? Now we're going
mm,
to build it back up. Then
yeah.
we can start talking about the content and the fun and the vocabulary and the inflections and all the things that go with presenting yourself. But it has to start with that self-discovery. And there's a lot of fun homework that I do with individuals or even in workshops if you're comfortable with doing it with others. Workshops are really fun. You just have to have that next level of being vulnerable in front of the others in the workshop that say, we're going to level this up. And I think that what happens is there's that even playing field because everybody has that same experience. And now you don't feel so alone in it.
I love that. And sort of the idea that it can be fun, right? Because I think a
Yes.
lot of times we're sort of intimidated by public speaking. I mean, I certainly have been. And so just the idea that, okay, this doesn't necessarily have to be hard or
No.
painful. It could actually be fun.
And there is some skill involved, like anything else. If you told me you were going to go run a triathlon, you wouldn't just go out the first day and run it. There would be
Yeah.
some skill in how you train so that the day of that triathlon, you're ready.
Yeah.
The same thing goes with public speaking or getting used to being a podcast host or being a podcast guest or starting your YouTube show or whatever it is that may be. There is training involved, like anything else that we do. And once you realize what those tools are, what things you can implement to level up your professionalism, then the easier it's going to get.
Well, and to me, what goes along with that is it's one thing to be on this side of the camera, like hosting a podcast, and it's another thing to be on the other side of the camera and be interviewed, right? I
Yes,
mean,
because
while
I don't
there's
know what you're going to ask
commercials,
me.
yeah, right, yeah,
I kind of
exactly.
have an idea, but I don't know, and I need to be ready.
Yes, exactly. And so, like you said, being prepared for an interview is really important. And I've done
Yes.
enough now to know that if I go into one and I'm not feeling prepared, it's definitely not going to be the kind of interview I want it to be.
Retreat.
Yeah, right, exactly. And so
It's
just
true.
yeah. And so just tell us a little bit about how you walk people through that process. I know you've got the workshop and you've got
Mhm.
some training, but what are some of the things that you actually do inside of those?
This is the deep dive where I really get to know somebody. What's your story? What's your message? What is it you're selling? Because everybody's selling something. Even if you're representing your nonprofit, you're selling support for your nonprofit. So
Right.
whatever we're doing, we're telling where we've been, who we are, what got us here to this point and where we're trying to get to so we can ask for people's support, for their following, for engagement,
Mm,
whatever it is. There's something that we're trying to do. Maybe we're just trying to inspire and encourage others. Whatever that is, there's still that aspect to it. And if you don't even know what those three components are, then you're going to be all over the place.
right.
Identifying those components that are you, your message, and what you're representing, whether it be your business, your outreach, your family, whatever that is. We fine tune that message, we dissect it, we rebuild it, and then we come at it from all angles so that it can be retold based on where you're going to be. Well, who is your audience? Are you going to be speaking on a large stage? We need to make this presentable for a large stage audience. Is this going to be a small, more interactive group? Then we're going to present it for that. Is this going to be a 30-minute podcast? Or is this going to be a 2-minute news interview? Well, that's a different ballgame if you've got to get this
Right.
talking point out in 2 minutes. So really preparing what it is your visibility is going to be, fine-tuning your message and preparing it for all of those platforms. It's like you create this template that then says, I'm ready for anything you put me in.
That's so powerful. So then when you're working with someone, well, let me back up just a little bit. So give us an example of someone that you've worked with and really seen a transformation in their life.
Oh gosh, there's been okay. I have to be careful too, because there is the confidentiality
Sure.
aspect. So I will be careful. But there's one in particular that he's allowed me to always tell his story. And I started working with him a while back. And he was terrified to even speak in front of his own team. He was a great professional leader of a sales team. And he had a hard time speaking in front of his own staff.
Right.
And now he was asked to speak in front of an industry event for 500 people, including community leaders. So he
Wow.
reached out to me and said, please help. What I loved is we sat there together and fine-tuning his comfortability, where it was he was the most insecure, what was holding him back, what were his natural instincts, his body language, his natural speech patterns. We broke it all down. And then we went back and forth. And it was really incredible to watch him being able to just present to me. Then we brought in a couple team members. We fine-tuned it to where he's like, okay, I know I'm going to do this here. I know I'm standing this way and it's looking like this. I know my body language is now that. We reconstructed him from the ground up. And I
Wow.
went to that event where he stood in front of 500 people and delivered a powerful message for about 15 minutes. And I'm telling you, I was crying
Yeah. Yeah.
because I was so proud to see what he accomplished. But that work was all on him. I'm just the coach, like an athlete and a team. The coach is going to show
Sure.
you that plate, but you got to go out and do it. And that's what really
Right.
happens when I work with professionals. I work with professionals of all industries, CEOs. I work with, again, heads of nonprofits, and watching them come alive. My other favorite success story is a nonprofit that I work with. And when we came together, they do equestrian therapy for PTSD for first responders
Okay.
and for
Yeah.
military veterans, active duty and veterans. Incredible ranch in San Diego. When we got together about 5 years ago, and I had known her since childhood, and we ran into each other, and she said, Amy, we are struggling to keep the horses fed. The ranch is working, but we want to be able to serve more. We want to be able to bring in more rescue horses. We want to grow this foundation. I said, let's get you on the news. And she
Yeah.
said, but I can't talk in front of people. I can't do this. Working with her and said, but you're so passionate about this. You love what you're doing. Lives are being saved at this ranch. Let's let the world see that.
Yeah.
It was so incredible because we were able to get the local news out there to feature them right there on the ranch. Then a documentary from Los Angeles picked them up to feature them on a PTSD documentary that ended up getting incredible reviews and visibility. Then Discovery Channel came out to the ranch, which they're coming back out again for a
Wow.
second time this next
Uh,
week. And now
yeah.
I stood at their gala a couple weeks ago as the MC and saw a room full of about 500, 600 people that are supporting this foundation. And they now have ranches in Wyoming and in Texas and growing.
That's
All because
amazing.
she decided to finally remember her why and get comfortable bringing it up.
Mm,
Isn't that powerful? Imagine if we
that
applied
is.
that to everything we do. And I know that's a
Yeah.
great success story that these miraculous things happened for them. But I cried as I stood there and saw the amount of support because of using today's media to make a difference and get that word out there.
That's just so beautiful. And I love that because I think it is easy for us to kind of get caught up in our businesses and lose sight of some of these things that are so important, which, when we go on to do an event or we go on to do a podcast like this, it might be something that we think, oh, well, I've got this. I can probably
Yes.
pull this out. I think, but the impact that we can have if we really know how to do it well is
Yes.
something, yeah, next level, right?
We can all make an impact. We all have something to give. We all have a talent, a gift, a passion for something, whether it's in our business, in our outreach, whatever that is, we have it in there. And the problem is sometimes when that camera goes on, the disconnect takes place. And the
Yeah.
next thing you know, we forget why. What is it? What is it we're doing? Am I here to inspire? Am I here
Yeah.
to empower others? And when you remember that why, the worry about your hair and your face and your voice and your stuttering or whatever that might be, it does go away. And when you see those first results, like with this organization, with Saddles and Service, when that first amount of money started coming in, that support started coming in, cameras started coming in,
Yeah.
that why was there. And that fear of being on camera disappeared.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, what is that when someone actually starts to work with you, are they automatically in a group setting? How does that work? Do they, kind of get to know the people that are in the group with them? Is it just you and them?
I have a balance of both. So the group setting, some of the group settings I've done have actually been teams that already work together, so that
Okay.
helps. Or an organization where they're all in a membership or a group together, so they've met each other. That really does help. I try not to do workshops where it's just random strangers coming to an event that don't even know each other, because I think that is a
Sure.
little bit more difficult. I like to keep it with, organizations or people that belong together, or an industry. So they're all maybe in the music industry, and at least there's that camaraderie and that connection there. It does allow for a more effective coaching technique. The one-on-one is the highest and best because it
Yeah,
is so personal.
sure.
And to break down and say, okay, I'm going to work with you, your story. The one-on-one is the preferred, but workshops can still be very effective. And again, I do like to break that into either teams or industry specific. So you have camaraderie and a lot more common goals in there that are going to be similar by speaking the same industry language.
Yeah, sure. Well, I mean, I know for me personally, I'm super excited. I haven't had a chance to go through your training yet, but I'm absolutely going to. And because I feel like even after doing a podcast for a couple of years, I still have so much to learn and there's more I'd like to do. So why
Yes.
wouldn't I do that? Right?
But
Like, why
we're
wouldn't I
always
push myself?
learning. I want to keep learning when I'm 90. I love it.
Right.
I'm always putting myself in new things that I can learn and taking new classes and finding new mentors and asserting myself into new mastermind groups because there's so much we can learn. And it's just
Yeah.
incredible how we can expand our network and our
Yes.
mindset when we choose to do that.
Well, and that's something else that I wanted to mention as well is that there's this piece to this that I think is really important, which is sort of that networking and collaboration piece, right?
Mhm.
And this is something I've been talking about a fair amount recently because I feel like this is so important for people to really understand. We've kind of come from this society that's taught us we need to compete with one another. And the reality is we don't, right? The reality is that we just need to be who we are. And we are our most authentic person. That's the only person we need
Yes.
to be because there's no other version of us out there. And so I would just love to kind of hear how that comes into play when you're working with someone.
The collaboration is the most important thing. I don't compete with anyone. If you had a podcast right now and there were four other media coaches, I guarantee we all probably have a different technique. I guarantee we all come from a different background and we
Yeah.
can teach something different. So there's always ways. If there were four other media coaches right now, I'd say let's do a group workshop with all of us where we're bringing our strategic expertise. The
Mm,
competition doesn't need to happen in any industry because we can all learn from each other. And there is enough business in our pool of preferred clients that there's no reason for it. And the more I can say, how can I help you? How can I be a resource to you? How can I support your business? Even for those I'm coaching, how can I support your business? How can I help find you more resources?
right.
Because I
Yeah.
guarantee if they meet someone along the way that they feel are a fit for me, they're going to send them my way. And
Right.
growing this community and seeing everyone that I work with, whether it's in a group workshop, individual coaching, you're becoming a part of my community. And in my community, I take care of them. Like you are in my circle. You and I have just met
Love
here with
that.
this podcast today. We are in this community now. If you need something, I'm going to go into my resources and say, I've got that for you. And
Yeah.
I have noticed that it just makes such a tremendous difference than putting on the competitive spirit.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, I think it just makes all the difference, right? And it actually makes what we do so much more fulfilling. I mean, I think it does for most people, and I know it does for me. So, that piece of it, I kind of want people to keep that in mind. Like, it may feel a little like, okay, well, I don't really know this person, or, I'm just venturing out there and it's me on my own and I'm just going to try to make it work with a coach. And it's so much
Yes,
more than that. And I think that's really what I'm wanting
it is.
people to understand is that no, you're building a relationship, you're building a connection here, and it's going to serve you on so many levels,
Right.
not just, in this one area that maybe you want to grow in.
And with that, you're getting all of my connections. My years of all of these connections from multiple industries come
Right.
with me. So if we know each other, guess what? You have access to all of these great people that I've vetted.
Yeah,
And
that's
that's
what's
the beauty. If
amazing.
we all do that for each other, I know that anything that I need for my business is a phone call away with the network I have.
Mm,
And it's
yeah,
taking that time to ask and say, do you know someone that can help me? Because there's pieces missing. I always have pieces missing. Do you know someone that can help me with
sure.
this, this, or this? And how can I be of help to you? And it's amazing when we take that time. I end every meeting with that. How can I help you today? And I may have hey, I have an ask. I'm looking for something. Do you know someone that can help me with this particular situation? Or I have this
Yeah,
need for a
sure.
client. Do you know someone that could help me? And
Yeah,
boy, it's a
absolutely.
game changer.
Yeah. Yeah, and it really makes it a lot of fun because you just never know who you're going to connect that, it's just like the perfect connection for them
Right.
and what might come out of that. So
Right.
it's fun, but it's
And
also
when you're going to
really
need them, you may not need
yeah,
them for 6 months,
sure.
but now I know they're there.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Well, so I want people to know how to get a hold of you and where to find you.
Well, luckily, I don't have a common name. So Amy Scruggs, if you just Google it, you're going to find everything. But Amy Scruggs Media is the main website, Amy Scruggs Media, but Amy Scruggs Media on all my social handles as well. So it's pretty easy to find. Amy Scruggs Music as well for my most recent album release and all the music is out there on radio right now. You go to any any of those, you are going to find me. I answer my messages. The emails come into our team here. And so it's very easy to find me, and I engage. I engage on social media. You can find me on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, all of them.
Perfect. And then you also have a book that you released just last year, correct?
Yes, Lights, Camera, Action, Media Coaching for Professionals, which is a lot of the quick tips and also testimonies of other clients and other people that I've worked with that's sharing their story. And I also have some really great, pretty high-end influencers that also shared their expertise in certain categories of media coaching that contributed to this book. So that was a lot of fun to put together, and the information's there on the website as well.
Yeah, well, and I know our audience will definitely want to pick a copy of that up. There's no doubt in my mind that there's 1,000,001 gold nuggets in there they won't want to miss. So with that, thank you so much for being here with us today, Amy. You've been a wealth of knowledge, and I would love to have you back. I know we have so much more to talk about, and I know we don't have enough time.
I would love to anytime. That would be wonderful. We'll do a live panel with people. We'll do a live workshop.
I would love that. Yes, that would be amazing. Well,
it was an honor to be with you. Thank you.
Yes, yes, of course. Any closing thoughts that you would like to share with everyone?
Take the limits off. Whatever you think you can't do, I guarantee you can. Take the limits off. Take the limit off your abilities. Take the limit off when it needs to happen, your age, whatever those things are. Take the limits off and watch and see what can happen in your life.
So good. And to all of you out there listening, thank you so much for being here with us. If you got something out of this show, and I know you did, please share it. You will certainly not be the only one that will want to walk away with these gold nuggets today. So lots of love going out to all of you, and we'll see you again soon. Goodbye, everyone.